Welcome to the Inspiration for an Empowered Life podcast, sponsored by the Image Designers. They will help you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. Now, here's your host, the Image Master, Holly Porter.
Hello and welcome to the podcast, everybody, today. And I've got a fabulous new friend of mine. We haven't known each other not too long, but we are eWomen networking friends and colleagues. And this is Cary MacArthur. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome. How are you?
I'm so good. It's fantastic life and a fantastic day. Yeah, it's a good day today.
Yeah. Well, funny thing is, we ended up meeting in Las Vegas a few months ago, and we ended up we're from the same town. Like, we live in the same town. So it was really odd, huh?
Yeah, both 2 hours away, and we ended up meeting in Vegas. Yeah, it was fun. And I felt like, we hit it off really well. Like, we have a lot in common,
Totally.
a lot of complementary traits and things like that. So, yeah.
And we're in a pretty small town where we live. So it was kind of cool that that ended up. Well, I'm going to read a little bio on Cary for everybody to get to know her a little better. So bear with me for just a minute, because she is awesome and I don't want to miss a thing. Cary by nature is a silently passionate person. She loves life, has many talents and interests. But until about 5 months ago, she spent a lot of time enjoying the pursuit of these from within her comfort zone. Upon attending her first personal growth training retreat, which she thought would be a romantic week with her husband on a private island in Belize, she found herself facing fears and being gently forced out of her comfort zone. She entered this process silently, kicking and screaming, and came out with more enthusiasm for life, more confidence, and a desire to keep from facing fears in order to discover the joy on the other side. She is on a mission to live her life out loud so others can see that they can do that too. You can find her publicly challenging herself live on Facebook every day, which is awesome, I might add. Cary currently coaches women to connect them to themselves, their passion, and their purpose through her 5 fundamentals of finding your voice. She co-hosts the award-winning Mechanic to Millionaire podcast with her husband, Dave, and will launch her own podcast, Dare to Find Your Voice, on October 5th. Cary's been married to Dave for 27 years, and they have 5 children and 4 grandchildren. She has a bachelor's in Spanish and a bachelor's in psychology, and is currently pursuing her master's degree in professional counseling and marriage and family therapy. So welcome.
Thank you. I'll just say real quick, it's 5 years ago, not 5 months ago. So I have a little bit more experience under my belt. I don't know
Sorry
if I
about that.
it, but that's okay. Just to clarify. But yeah, it's been a really amazing journey for me. So.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, what's your favorite part of your days every day?
My favorite part of my day is my morning. It's my power hour, where I am able to finally allow myself, first of all, to have time to myself and to first, meditate, ponder, really connect with my purpose for the day, connect with my higher power, and then move from that to moving my body and getting, in an excited spirit with different music and energy, dancing, which is one thing that I would not do. And now it's like part of my whole power hour. So yeah, it's my favorite part of the day. It really sets the pace for the rest of the day. I love it.
I love that. And so do you do that when you're out of town traveling as well?
I do. Yes, as much as possible. There are times when the dancing doesn't happen like I want it to. However, I usually find a way to get time in my room to at least do 3 dances, just, just to connect with that. I gotta ask such a powerful thing.
So what kind of dancing are we talking about here? Do you have a pole?
Okay, you know what? No, seriously.
I saw
not in the hotel room.
That's why I'm asking.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to buy a pole though, and it will be one that I can take with me if I want. However, no, I just do it's called Shine Dance Fitness, and it's just it's almost like a jazzercise almost, only it's to modern music, just hip hop, but they also had a lot of ballet and things in there, so it's graceful, but it's also powerful, and it's just a lot of fun. It's been a really good place for me to begin my dance journey, whether it's a journey or not, but yeah, to connect to my body is what I'm doing.
I love that. I have a friend that does a meditation CD that goes through like all the different seasons and movements and the sounds,
Wow.
and she's singing to it like, oh, it's beautiful. But you would like that. I might share that with you because,
I need to discover that. Yes, it sounds
and
like
I'm
it.
glad you're reminding me because it's making me remember how much I liked it, and I haven't done it for a long time. But
Wow.
you're right. That's a whole different kind of meditation that I'll bet so many of our listeners have never thought about, right?
I never thought of that as form as, I mean, meditation. I've always kept it separate, but it's all,
Oh,
anything that gets us to connect body, mind, and spirit is
absolutely.
where the power is. And that was something that I refused to do for most of my life. Like I was really strong in my spirit, really strong in my intelligence, but my body and I, we were not friends. And I would do everything I could to just ignore the fact. I even tell people I would rather be invisible. I feel like I have more influence, more power invisible. And so my last 5 years has been connecting with my body, owning it, appreciating it, learning to love it, and finding that
Mm,
it's actually the power tool that helps my spirit and my mind to actually have somewhere to go and to actually be influential. Kind of like Marianne Williamson's poem, I was refusing to let my light shine because the flashlight was turned off and shoved in the corner, and I
yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't turn it on. So
Well, and you are so bright. I love that about you. And I think if more people would realize that hour of power, self-care, as you say, how important that is. Like, how do you not have time to do it? Like, or how do you have time to do it? How do you not have time to do it? Is what
yeah,
I
and
think.
it's a switch in thinking, it's a switch
Yeah.
in habit, and we all have the same amount of time, right?
Right.
And so it's just what we choose to do with our time. And when I finally really let myself believe that and get it, at first I had to get up earlier.
Yeah.
And so, 4 in the morning is when I started doing it. And now it's just such a part of my day that it doesn't matter really what time I get up. I make sure I have that time.
And I mean, because I do personality styling work. So
Mhm.
like your personality can handle an hour, like that's what it takes, I think, for
Mhm.
you. For
Mhm.
me, an hour is way too long, like because my brain's just going, going, going. And I have found that I can do my little meditation practice. I mean, as short as 10 minutes if I need to. Of course, I'd like longer.
Yeah.
Adding the dance stuff to it, I could probably bring that in more like 20 to 30 minutes. But just anyway, that's
Yeah,
so fun. I'm so important, and I think that's a
it
huge
is.
thing. Carrie and I talked about what we were going to share with our listeners today, on this podcast, and I just feel like we're guided where we need to go and what we need to talk about, and so I think
Exactly.
that's important. Somebody must need to hear that today because I think that's
I
really
agree.
important.
Someone must. And just like you said, I always teach people, I call it a power hour, but it's whatever amount of time it takes for you to connect to yourself. So
Yeah,
it can be 10 minutes, it can be an hour. And honestly, it's not always an hour for me either, just depending. And yeah, some temperament types take more
uh-huh.
time to process than others, and it's all perfect. Just whatever it takes to connect that's my usually
I
guidelines. I
have
love that you brought that up.
I have a friend that actually does this meditation. She taught me and for an hour every morning. And it made me crazy because and so I adapted and I made my own. And I was like, and I joked with her. I said because she says it's connecting to God. And I'm like, well, I can connect in 2 minutes. Why is it taking you an hour? I was kidding. And it didn't mean I'm better than you. It wasn't about that. It was, that's how mine worked. And when you figure out what works for you, do that.
Yeah. Seriously, that right there is the part that, I mean, everything I do has been life changing, and that's why I've developed a program of like 5 fundamental steps to
Yeah.
finding your voice. However, I look at it as an archway. It's like finding your voice is the gateway to finding your passion and your purpose. And so there's always foundational stones, there's cornerstones. One
Hmm.
of that is discovering who you are, knowing
Yeah.
what your temperament type is, what your personality type is, and what works for you mentally, spiritually, what motivates you from the core. And once
Yeah.
have that as a foundation, then, and the other one is expression. So once you figure it out, actually allowing yourself to be that's on the other side. And
Yeah.
then in the middle, the keystone is action. And we have to do all of it, and it doesn't happen in order, and we don't do one step and then the next step. We kind of all do it at the same time. But as that archway forms, we're able to find that passion and the purpose. But we do have to connect to how we work. We have to be okay with it being different than other people.
Hmm.
And then that helps us also to be okay with other people being different than we are too. And it just
Yeah.
allows so much more flow and beauty and peace and power in life. And I mean,
Right.
that's what lights me up. This whole this whole idea of falling madly in love with yourself, like from the
Yeah.
core, is
Yeah.
the foundation, I think, of everything that I've learned and that I do now. So
Yeah, and the confidence behind it, because that's what I work with is image. And so it's not just about how you look on the outside. It starts from within. We all know that. And so if you
Exactly.
feel icky, I mean, you've met people that are beautiful on the outside, and then you get to talking to them, and you can talk to them for 2 minutes and realize they're not somebody you want part of your life. They might be pretty, or for men, they might be an arm candy for them. But when you get to
Yeah.
know them, it's like they're icky inside. And so there's
Mhm.
some beautiful people in this world, and we all connect with different people for different reasons, right?
It's the truth. It's funny. And one thing about me is I went from refusing to even wanting to know what vulnerability meant to being like a walking billboard of vulnerability. So pretty much nothing is a secret. So it may sound, it's kind of embarrassing to share this, but I really feel like those are the nuggets that people want to hear. So I do private or coaching with, I have a coach and I coach people. And my coach, I was at a point where, I told you I was wanting to connect with my body. And I'm like, I just don't really feel like I'm connected to my womanhood. And he's like, oh, you mean you're sexy? And I'm like, oh, don't even say that word. He's like, no, we got to find your sexy. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, tell me what sexy is, because I don't feel like I have what it takes. And he's like, sexy is an outside. When you show up confident, that's sexy. Because I
Yeah.
don't care if you've got, you know, beautiful clothes on or no clothes on. If you're not confident, you're not sexy. And he's watched me as we've coached, and there was a time when we were actually together at an event, and he's like, oh wow, your sexy just came out. And I'm like,
Oh, I
so it
love
was kind of crazy. Yeah, but it's all about confidence and realizing that it's okay to be confident. It's not selfish, it's not stuck up, it's not, it's just owning your power. And there's such
it.
a
Yeah.
intense, amazing feeling that comes with that.
Well, more women need to learn to own their power. That's what a lot of people, they don't get it. They're like, but it's really a mindset change. And so when people, think, oh, do I need a coach? Don't I need a coach? Well, first of all, don't ever hire a coach that doesn't have a coach, because
I
right?
agree.
They
Yeah,
don't even
I
believe in their own work.
Yeah, right, right, exactly. And
And I've
yeah, I think we
outgrown.
all need a coach, someone to look at us from the outside and show us what we refuse to see or what we can't see. So,
Yeah, but I was gonna say I've outgrown every coach I've ever had. What a good challenge to have, because
mm,
that means I'm moving forward.
right.
And there's different coaches for different things. Like I met one of my coaches one time had 7 coaches. I was like,
I have,
7 coaches? What the heck? And she
I'm
went through,
guilty of that as well. I have 2 active right now. I have 2 others that I go back to every once in a while. So yeah, I've got 4 or 5 of my
which
own.
become more at this point mentors. Like,
Mentors, yes,
yeah, like I
exactly.
asked
And then
somebody
really
messaged
good
me today
friends.
and asked me if I'd be their business mentor. And
Oh,
that was
that's
such a
fantastic.
compliment. But where's that fine line between, okay, I'm a coach, I get paid to coach and consult and mentor? So you
Hmm.
got to find those boundaries. So let's
Yeah.
talk about a minute. So you worked with your husband for
Mhm.
these years, and then you did this big shift. So talk about that, and like, why? Because you're really successful. Like, you were making really good money already. So it wasn't like you had to, like, what was the shift for you?
Well, to say working with my husband was in air quotes really because my husband was working and I was just in his shadow. I
Yeah.
supported him. Once we hit a level of success in the company that's recognizable, he asked me to join him on stage as recognition, but I honestly didn't feel like I belonged there. It was almost painful for me to be there,
Oh,
and I wanted to be there because first of all, I wanted people to know he was married.
yes.
And second of all, I'm like, yeah, I want to be, I could tell that it was a place that I would want to be by his side and that I wanted to be a part of this business. We have an amazing team of people that we work with, and it's just really expanded our life in a lot of ways. And I was refusing to own it. And so I would, in title, and other people thought we were working together, but it was mostly me just saying, basically inside, you're the one that's good at this, and I'll just be there to support you. And then, because of the recognition and the position, I was almost forced into leadership. People were coming to me for advice. People were thinking that I knew all this stuff, and I felt like a fraud, and I didn't know what to do about it. And then my husband invited me to go on a retreat. And now I know, I didn't know then, that it was totally planned. He had asked, who's
Oh,
my coach now, how do I help my wife, see that she belongs here, and to
yeah.
find her power. So he's like, bring her to Belize. He has a private island in Belize. And we went, and it was our 22nd wedding anniversary. And my husband said, I want to go to this retreat, but it's during our
Oh,
anniversary. So I only want to go if you can come. I asked them if you could participate because they said that's the only way that you could come. I'm like, sure, I'll go and I'll pretend. Like I pretend all the time that I'm participating. Well, the trainer, his name's David T.S. Wood, he wouldn't see that. And he doesn't let me pretend. So he like zeroed in on me pretty much. He could tell that I was the quiet one. He even told me, he's like, I can tell you're the one that's going to have the greatest transformation. And it made me mad. I'm like, how do you know? You know, I was like, ugh. But I didn't say that. I just sweetly said, okay. Anyway, day 4, he just took me so far out of my comfort zone. Like, it was the ugliest sight ever.
No, those are the best breakthroughs.
Those are the best breakthroughs. And I'll tell you that now, but then I hated every second of it. I was so mad, but there was nothing I could do about it.
Right.
I was on an island. I couldn't swim away. And I had made a promise at the beginning to play at 100%. So when it was on me, I had to do it. But not before I became a snot bubble on the floor. Like, I was just really awful. And after I was done doing that thing, and I've asked permission to share because sometimes, so it was basically, I just got on the stage and I had to pretend I was someone else. I had to perform a skit on stage, and it killed me. I mean, it sounds so like nothing to some people, but to me it was everything, because I was being seen, and it was awful. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. And I could breathe for the first time in, I think, my whole life. Like, I took the deep breath and it was like, what was that? And it was so literal, and the world like changed colors. It brightened, and I'm not kidding. It was so literal for me. And all I knew was I wasn't sure what happened. I wasn't sure how I was going to, but I just vowed that I would never stop feeling that way. So I told myself I was going to start doing things that scare me every day. And that's basically been my transformation. And then there's been, discovering who I am and learning temperament and, all of these different things that have challenged me. And I've had more than one of those snot bubble moments. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't just happen once, but I look forward to them, in a kind of a masochistic way maybe. But I look forward to those moments, and I put myself in position. So now, I am pole dancing, which was something like dancing, first of all, was like something I'm not doing. I couldn't even do it by myself.
Right.
If I was all alone in a room, I could not dance. I couldn't do it. And now I dance every morning. And then I thought, well, my coach was like, you should do pole dancing. And at first I threw a huge fit. And what I've learned is when I throw those fits, that's when I know I need to do it.
Yep.
First, I check it against my core values, because I won't do something that goes against what I believe.
Yep.
But if it doesn't go against what I believe, then I do it. So now I'm pole dancing, and I'm putting videos of it on Instagram, which really makes me kind of crazy to think about. If 5 years ago, there was absolutely no way I would have believed you if you'd have told me I was doing that.
I love
so anyway, that's in a roundabout way, but that's how I kind of stepped into first allowing myself to do business with my husband. And I haven't stopped doing that. However, I had different mentors come to me and say, you know what? Your whole thing is finding your voice, and it's been so powerful to watch you emerge, and not only to teach people, but to live it. You're living what you teach. And I feel like her name was Sandra Yancey from eWomen Network. She said, you need to create a program about finding your voice. And she helped me to do that. And that's how I fell into it. And it's something, seriously, I can't sleep sometimes because it makes me so excited. I love what I do every single day. So that's how I found my passion.
Well, that's when you found your purpose and you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. So, okay, I want this to go forever because I love hearing all about this, but I try to keep everybody, in a time frame so people won't leave us, because we want you to listen to the end. Okay, so we just have a couple more minutes. So that's the story. You're doing the 100 days of challenges. Do you want to touch on those for just a second?
Yeah, just real quick. So part of my mentoring was learning how to live in the moment. My temperament type likes to live in the past, but I also connect that with, it's just all connected, but it was learning to live in the moment. So it started with 100 days of laughter, finding reasons to laugh every single day. And it was so much fun, and so many people were loving it, and I changed. Like, I thought I had already changed, but that changed me. So at the end of that, people were like, so what are you going to do next? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? So because I'm all about stepping outside of your fear, they're like, how about 100 days of courage? Yeah. That was really painful in a lot of ways, not just because I was already doing it, but I wasn't doing it out loud, and people were watching. And so I had to be really careful about how I went about it. Like, am I doing it for them, or am I doing it for me still, type of a thing. But it was also so exhilarating that at that end, I'm like, I can't stop. So now I'm doing 100 days of people, which basically people light me up. That's like one thing that I just love, is that connection. So I just connect with people every day. And if they allow me to video, I do. And if not, I just talk about the connection. And I don't know what I'll do next, something.
Well, that inspired me too. And I know a lot of people do those, where they do a year of gratitude. Again, I have to do things in small increments. So I'm going to start my own, but I'm only doing 30 days. And then in 30 days, I'll change again. Just because that's how I roll. I'll get way too bored doing that for 100 days.
And it's totally awesome. Yeah. And the 100 days for me goes really fast. And yeah, that's another thing. People will say, I want to do this. I'm noticing what it's doing. I want to do it. Yeah. What should I do? And I said, I can't tell you what to do. You know, this is how I did it. But if 25 days works for you, do that. 30 days works for you. And if courage doesn't light you up, find something that does. 100 days of gratitude or 30 days of gratitude or whatever it is. So yeah, to me, it's just being intentional every day. Do you have to do a live video? No. To me, it works, but that's not what it is for everybody. So,
well, and it could be, you know, like even the laughter, it could be just something that makes others laugh, and it's a post, you know, or a YouTube video. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Okay, we could talk about that forever. Okay, yes, so if somebody, we're going to leave the links down here below, but if somebody wanted to contact you, like, give us that information, and then how would they work with you?
Okay. Well, first they can find me at CaryMacArthur.com. That's my website. And it's C-A-R-Y, like Cary Grant, MacArthur, MacArthur.com. Or if you want immediate connection, if you have a question, you can find me on Facebook. It's Cary Gates MacArthur. That's my personal profile. I also have a page, Cary MacArthur. Instant message me. That's probably the quickest way to get a response from me. And then I'm on Instagram as well. It's Cary Mac. So all three of those ways.
I love that. Yeah. So, all right. So, you know, she has so much to offer. We'll have to have you a little later too, when things are just rocking and rolling. We'll have to schedule you again for another podcast.
That'd be fun to see what happens next, right?
I know. It's all a journey. And I love the dance. You've inspired me to get I'm going to get that disc out, and we're going to
share it with me. I would love to hear it. Yeah.
I love it. And she lives in Las Vegas, the gal that does that. So
cool.
Anyway, okay. Well, thank you listeners for joining us today. And thank you, Cary, for being our guest. You were awesome, as I knew you would be.
Thank you. I had fun. A lot of fun. I love telling my story. So.
Well, it's a great story. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Inspiration for an Empowered Life podcast, sponsored by the Image Designers. They will help you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. You can learn more about them at theimagedesigners.com or email Holly at hollyporter.com.